people in the back get a much better look in a minute. So first thing I need is for the first 16 people to follow Lisa, all them campers with all your kids. Actually, there's 18 of you with all the kids. Then I need 4 more from the other group. If you go with this first, come on up. We'll just wait here just a few minutes. First of all, pretty hard to miss these really big stalagmites right in the middle of the floor here, right? Look right in the center of the ceiling, you see a crack right in the middle of the ceiling. You see that runs the entire length of the cave. Now that crack is a really important feature. That's called the lifeline of the cave, and that's where water drips in from the surface, and that's why these stalagmites are where they're at. Notice they're right underneath that lifeline, they're like perfectly up. So each drip of water fell, hit the top of these, left a few crystals of calcite behind. So these grew up from nothing up to the size they are right now. Pretty slow process. The biggest one's about 17 feet tall down there, and they estimated calcite growth. They think that's about 250,000 years worth of stalagmite right there. Now, somebody mentioned the cracks down through the middle. If you were 250,000 years old, you'd have cracks too, right? Now, these are actually natural. They're just shifted under their own weight. You can tell this damage is much older than that dynamite blast, because some of the cracks have actually filled back in where the water's been able to drip into what's filled them back shut again. So, curious ages. This whole formation sits out on a ledge. See how it kind of hangs out over the sidewalk down there? See, just even in front of it. It's sitting out on a ledge, so it's pretty heavy stuff. The type of rock that cave deposits are made of is calcite. You see some little figures up in the gift shop labeled calcite, little carved out animals. It's the same kind of rock as this, but it's not from this cave. We're not allowed to take anything out of here. Now, they get that calcite from Mexico. They go breaking off stalactites in Mexico to get it. They have a big deposit of it they just mine. It's kind of funny, all the show caves in the U.S. use the same calcite plastic, dough, clay.
What's above the lifeline? Is there a stream up there?
Actually not, that's just, we're about 50 feet from the surface right now. There's 30 to 35 feet of solid rock above us with a little clay and soil above that even. So that crack doesn't go directly to the surface. It fans out into some other cracks. Now it's raining pretty hard outside. It'll eventually start dripping harder in here, but it's about a 10-hour delay. Sometimes 10 to 12 hours before the ground gets saturated and finally start dripping in here. I predict later today this will definitely drip harder. Let's move up a little more. Take a good look at these formations.
I thought I'd start doing that just for
Go down there. The main shot right here, there's a fossil on the ceiling I'm going to point out. Pretty nice fossil, actually. Behind this little bit, it's pretty big. Back that way a little more. Keep looking. See it? Everybody come on up, there's a nice fossil on the ceiling that I'm going to point out. That's the fossil of a seashell, a 6-foot seashell, right? Belonged to an animal called a giant cephalopod, and it was related to a squid that lives down. So it had the chemicals, they didn't fossilize, only the shell. They found fossils as large as 17 feet, so a 17-foot seashell, right? That's just a baby. There are more fossils in the cave, all from that era, though. Snails, clams, various ordovician creatures. We're talking about 480 million years ago, right? That's a really big number. Come on up to the end of the cave here. That's when this limestone was actually being created, way before the cave. I actually used to come to the quarry here and hunt fossils at the University of Wisconsin to come out before they discovered the cave. So there's a few, the lights hit the drips coming in from this way. You can see that lifeline drip, and there's a few coming in. It hasn't really picked up from the rain yet, though. This is about how it's been dripping the last couple of weeks, just a couple every few seconds. We had a huge rain a couple of weeks ago. It rained about 8 inches overnight. There were pencil-sized streams of water just pouring in through that crack. The next morning, the most I've ever seen come in here actually is splashing off those stalagmites. It looked really neat. We didn't linger too long where we just were though. Once again, we're about 50 feet down. Okay, this kind of dead ends up here. This is an ancient collapse. There appears that there was more paved on the other side of that, though, so that's a man-made tunnel they dug up in the left-hand corner there. They went about 70 feet out underneath the picnic area. They didn't find anything. It only goes about 5 feet now. They plugged it up. That rock you see piled up here is from out of the cave. We call this the meanders because it's real windy. Right? River carved out a winding passage. Punch your head down there, little tight spots. And if you're any taller than me, it's not even crush, so this guy's going to duck back here too. You'll see a red light. That'll be the deepest part of this system at 70 feet, so about 20 feet deeper than where we're at. Most of the rest of the cave is about 40 to 50 feet down, pretty parallel to the surface. And we're going to let you touch that stalagmite right there on the way down. The one at the end of the handrail. That one right there. Everybody touched that one anyways, right? So if you want to see what calcite really feels like, you're certainly welcome to touch that one. You'll see how well polished this is just from people rubbing on it. And if you had a Dremel tool, you could carve this up into a little bunny or a dog or something. So calcite right here.
You can touch
It's
it.
quite decorative rock, actually. It polishes up well.
Feels good.
Sandy. Pinch your nose.
Hey, when you guys carry cameras, I don't hear a whole lot of clicking going on up there. Going in after.
Jim, didn't we used to have cold water in here?
That's it?
Didn't you used to have cold water in there?
No, that was Crystal Lake Cave.
Oh, I don't know, I'll have to know what it was. Oh, man.
Okay, now I pointed out to the people right in front of the line, when we came up the stairs, as we didn't even look at the hole that went straight ahead, even though we came up. Did you guys see that too? Yeah. If you actually crawled in that hole and kept going, you could fit up through a slot about 10 inches wide. You come up right in the end of this hole right in front of me here. Now I tried to do that. The slot's about 10 inches in one spot. That's a little small even for me. I can't get my head in there quite. One of these kids might make it, right? Little guy there. You want to be properly dressed though, right? Hard hat, gloves, knee pads and stuff, pretty rough. Now we're standing right beneath the building here again. This is where all the rock from above just collapsed into the cave. Cement's above is just the platform where we started out, right? There's just 2 layers here. Now, there was about 30 feet of ceiling above the cave and it collapsed in here, so it more or less filled the cave right up with rock in this area. So they had to dig everything back out of here to open this area up. That rock you see in this hole yet is still from that explosion. That passageway we were walking in probably went right underneath us here, those meanders. It was just crushed by the thousands of tons of rock that fell in right here, right? You can see the original cave wall here on both sides, though. So these are just supports for the platform and the stairways. Actually, just used some of the rock that was already here to build these. Yeah, a little unfortunate they used such a big charge that day, but once again, I had no idea there was a cave here. Plenty more to come, though. This lower part even picks up again up ahead.
Here.
A light bulb.
Looks like lights radiating from your head.
What?
How did she figure out I'm making a new light? I don't figure it.
Damn it, what is it? We want to buy?
Harder rock above, like where's the collapse?
Yeah, this is the north cave right here, a pretty large room. Cave is actually pretty stable shape, this arch-shaped ceiling, and that's just naturally the way it was dissolved. There's a little damage, you can see the edge of that explosion hole right there where the wood is, right? So it lost a few slabs off the ceiling right in this first area right here, just from that explosion. It didn't affect any further than just the middle of this room though. I lost a few stalactites here. There's really no damage from the explosion further into the cave. Pretty big room right here. This was connected with the south cave, or still not actually, the stairs are just in the way, but this is one big room all the way through to the end of that first part where we're in, right? So north of the south cave are one cave. A little bit wider right here, if you'll notice. There are actually 2 lifelines here. There's a V behind me, and the second one goes right over my head here. You see there's some dark above me, and we got a nice little side room over here. I'm going to switch the lights around.
It dripped on me and got my glasses too.
Yeah, you must be right underneath it.
No, that was when I was coming down the stairs, or coming down this way.
We call this the glacier room over here because it kind of looks like ice on the slope there. But that is the slope stone. We've got another brick castle. So we go along this side, just towards the railing. They're going to go up here, so come towards me. There we go. Be so quiet I didn't hear it coming.
Thanks, everybody. Passing through.
All right, a couple more quick things here. Way in the far corner, we have some nice ribbon stalactites. The nickname for those is cave bacon. They're the ones with the black stripes. Now, there's some here in the cave with a reddish brown color with the stripe. They definitely look like bacon. Yeah, one more thing in this area. There's some very slender stalactites up above us here, a little group of them. Those are called soda straw stalactites, and the reason they're called soda straws, they're actually hollow in the center, just like a straw. Walnut straw is really thin, not much thicker than a plastic straw, right? And pretty delicate. Estimated it takes about 150 years to grow an inch of soda straw. Each drip actually comes down the center of that straw and leaves a little ring of crystals on the end, is why it's hollow, so it goes ring by ring. Once again, they add up pretty slowly. Eventually what can happen to those, though, is that they plug up and then they start becoming an icicle or a conical stalactite. They get that icicle shape. We have a lot of those up ahead. Those are the ones we used to see. Right? A couple soda straws in the back of the cave here, so about 4 feet long. They're an area we don't walk by, otherwise it'd be about 7,000 years snap and you'd break pretty easily, pretty delicate. There's one of those shots in the back there. If you're taking pictures and I turn the lights off, just give me the yell out there. Sure. You notice the light on this hole right in front of me here, that's more of that underground river passage. There's a little more here. This is the only off trail in the cave here. You climb over the railing, you go down in there. You go under the sidewalk, through the pit. You can see it down on the corner of the railing here. You can actually come out back here. In this hole. So you go about 50 feet down there. It's a pretty small crawl space. Come right up the stairs here. I hear a little water moving in here. And a little pool fills up and it'll eventually just wave over the edge. It's not much. Enough to keep everything nice and wet there, though. Now it's not going to do it as soon as I mentioned something. There goes. It's a small waterfall. You know, there's a spot further ahead where it's a little easier to reach down and touch, but the water is 50 degrees, so there's a pool up ahead. I'll just stick your fingers in so you can see what 50 feels like. You got a nice little pool at the bottom of the waterfall there if you haven't noticed yet. It's almost hard to see when you first come down. Why don't you guys come towards me a little more here? Just get against the railing. Stay against the railing, but come towards me. That's good. I want to explain something here. This water used to be deeper right here in this pool. See this black lumpy stuff all on the top edge here? That's called cave coral. Now, cave coral will only form under the water, so the natural water level should be right at this brown line up there called the coral. We have a pump in here right now. We actually have to pump this pool down to keep it where it's at. We didn't pump this out, it would definitely get deeper. We had a big storm last spring and the power went out, right? So no power, no pump. And then it rained all night long. Came down the next morning and water was right up to this railing. These lights are on. The whole cave was flooded all the way back. Now that's a natural level in here, however. So the first people that came in here didn't have a sidewalk. They had to wade into this pool. They were probably chest deep in 50-degree water right here. They called this the lake. Now, unfortunately, we've altered the cave by lowering this, but it's the only way to keep the sidewalks dry. I have a funny feeling if the cave would have been developed nowadays, they would have went with an aluminum walkway or something above the lake, maybe something a little different than this. I've been telling a story just 2 weeks ago in Minnesota at a wild cave called Mystery Cave. It was nice. We were about 8 hours in there when we encountered an underground lake, and they had a little rubber raft. Each person got out and they across the rope to the other side. That was the most fun we had all day. The rest of it. So some of the only goes on above there too. I'm gonna light up a dome above us here, though. You just want to switch. They have several domes. This is the largest. You'll notice several more in the next room, but this is the big one here. Got a nice little arch to the side. Good way to look at this one is look at the reflection in the water. Just look straight over the railing, you get a real nice reflection. Like another cave down there.
Yeah, it's just this light.
Some nice colored stalactites up on the edge there. A few more things here. There's some nice bacon right above me here. Nice ribbons. There's a little burnt bacon right behind me here. That's the manganese makes that one black, right? The one black stain. And here's a nice icicle. Remember I said soda straws get plugged out, then you get the icicle shape. So if water flows over the outside, then they get this conical shape. Next room here is called the cathedral room. The ceiling's pretty much covered with icicle stalactites. This is the first really big stalactite growth we've seen. So I'll go ahead and look up. There's some neat little spurs that stick out of some of these. There's some interesting formations. And just kind of move up a little more so the folks in the back can go on. You guys in the back can check the reflection out if you haven't seen the reflection over the railing yet. I'm going to kill these lights. Some interesting, if anybody knows, there's some little hooks that come up out of some of these outside little stalactites. Some actually go straight up. There's more outside here. They call this the cathedral room. Then we have the platform here in front of the cathedral here. So let's put a picture out there. Get these lights off. There's a couple really good stalactites on a couple of these little hooks. If you come up further, if you look up there, right in this one group here, there's a couple good ones you can probably find. And you can zoom up in there. One actually curves and goes right straight back up again. Amazes me. I'm talking about these little hooks that come out the side. There's one there, kind of. Now, I know a lot of these have the tips missing, right? Most of this is natural damage. They have some old pictures of the cave before development. All these ones in the front here are already broke like this. There was water flowed through here thousands of years ago. That's these little holes in the wall in the cave. And enough power to actually break these off. There's a little vandalism right in this first dome here. A couple of these big ones down there right above me were broken by people back in the early 40s. There used to be a wooden walkway. It was higher than this floor. It's above the water, and they had pictures of people right next to those. Now, they had no supervision. Somebody just didn't snap those off, and they probably had to saw them off. It is solid rock. Bad news is the big one took, what, 50 selling or something. Actually, we got by pretty easy. It's about the only vandalism in the whole cave right here. And a lot of caves in the 40s and 50s, there was a problem even with experienced cavers taking souvenirs. They were quite thinking, right? The reason we have more stalactites in here is because the lifeline is still out there. It's just dripped in the middle, but the drips hang on the ceiling longer. The drip's slower here, so the calcite stays up there for stalactites. That first room, the water drips really quickly, so I got the big stalagmites that come up from the floor. So that determines which one you get and how fast the water comes down. Change a couple lights so you don't move yet.
Get up there, Steph. Get up there and get the thing.
Post on a couple pictures of the front here before I kill the lights.
Yeah.
See it here. There's a big blank spot on the ceiling right behind me, so this whole piece broke off the ceiling from right over here. Now the amazing part is it's sitting 6 feet over here upside down, right? Now once again, they think there was a lot of flowing water through here at one time and probably silt or mud on the floor, so it got washed down over here somehow. Then after this was laying here upside down, some water dripped on this, creating poly as a stalagmite that grew up off of this. Now, poly has an interesting property, as all calcite does. It's phosphorescent, and what that means is it glows in the dark. I'm going to take this camera flash, give the top of poly a flash here, and the rock will glow afterwards for a few seconds with a nice greenish blue color. It's kind of fun. But what I need you to do right before I set the flash off, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and that's so you're not blinded from a big white spot from the flash. So that's really important. What I'm going to do here is I'll turn the light off, I'll ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to set the flash off right away and say open just a split second later though, so you don't see the flash. Does everybody understand? Don't try to take a picture of this either, or your flash will just it'll look like daylight. You won't see the glow, right? You'd have to have a camera without a flash. So everybody look where my hand is here to start with, all right?
Just don't push the flash, girls.
Yeah, cool.
It might pick it up. You can give it a try. Okay, ready? Here we go. Look where my hand is. And then everybody close your eyes, please. Open.
Oh, cool.
There you go. Phosphorescent light. I'll do a couple more here if you missed it.
I can't find my thing.
Yeah, I can't find my thing.
Yeah, it might be better off. I don't think you'll get a picture of this actually, so don't even try. Just
Yeah,
look
don't
with your
try.
eyes. Yeah, I don't think the picture will turn out.
It's too dark.
Yeah. So look up at the ceiling this time, underneath the net. I'm going to do it to the soda straws up here. They'll light up too, so everybody see where my hand is? Same thing. Close your eyes, please. Open.
Is that cool?
There we go. Open.
It's pretty.
Yeah, that's great.
Big chunk of calcite with a bulb in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, going to get a little bit narrow up in this next section. Us adults actually have to turn your shoulders sideways and squeeze through there. Don't worry if your clothes touch, it doesn't hurt anything. Everybody makes it through. Now you can see some water on both sides of the sidewalk when you look down. It looks about 4 feet deep. It's about an inch deep. They have lights reflecting off the ceiling right there. I mentioned lily pads of stone in that video. The lily pads are right along the edge of that pool. It's beautiful. Wash your hand also.
Okay. I'm gonna get like a side towel.
Hey, girls, don't you wait up front? Marissa, stop. Oh, I'm sorry, I feel like walking over the top of the people. Okay, go. After this. There you go. Hey, girls, wait up.
I don't know. I don't get it.
You can take pictures of
Oh, yeah, this is tight. Oh, yeah.
Probably the Frankenstein parrot.
Right there.
would never fit.
Because they all start out as slow runs. Didn't know.
Just a series of domes. That one really big, really soft. I see some broken stalactites in here. You can see one in the middle there from here. These are already missing, so people would break these off. That's natural damage. It's a nice stuff back there. Everybody come in, just take photos in the back there. That's fine. You can take a time, take whatever you want there. All right, now I'm going to mention a few things about this room right in front of me here. I know everybody can't see, especially from the back, but once again, when we move forward, I'm going to leave this light on, so you folks with the cameras, you can just stop up here and get some nice shots of this room without everybody in front of you and just take your time. I'll mention a few things though first. Call this the column room. There's a nice column right in the middle there, next to the stalactite down. So like right here, for you folks in the back, if you can't quite see it, I don't know, it's about 2.5 feet higher, so just a thin slot that empties out the back. And that's where the cave actually goes. You see that little hole. Cave of the Mounds goes another 100 yards in that direction. Unfortunately, we'd have to crawl the whole 100 yards. It doesn't get too much bigger than you see back there. And Teresa Ann right here in the early 40s, people just turned around and went back. There's some really nice formations back in that area that I wanted people to see. So right after World War II, they dug a tunnel. This is a man-made tunnel right behind me here. It goes right around the corner next to the cave, and it dug some big holes through the wall right into the cave. We call them windows, but they're just big holes that go right into the side of the cave. See some really nice formations once again. Next, you'll see the end of the cave by this tunnel, too small to walk down when we went down the last passage. And one more point to make here, you'll see some drips coming in. There's a nice one splashing behind that column there. That's the lifeline, right? It's still here, we've been following it. Each drip hits the flowstone here, that's a shiny rock on the floor. Leaves a few more crystals of calcite behind. The flowstone's getting thicker, which means the cave is actually getting smaller. This flowstone's going to keep getting thicker and thicker, and eventually probably fill the cave all the way up. They've got a core sample here. They've drilled into the flowstone. It goes right underneath this. You can see it on both sides of the sidewalk. Sidewalk is about 1 inch thick. The flowstone underneath this here is 10 to 15 feet thick. That's feet. So, you know, just for a round number, I'm going to say 500,000 years ago, you could walk through that hole right there. The floor of the cave used to be 10 feet lower than it is right now. So it's interesting that it's filling in. That's the leading stalactite. I'll get my flashlight up for you folks in the back here. It's a nice color there. There's a lot of manganese in this room. That's where like Hershey's syrup right now, basically. It's real black in the back. No, wait. I think it's safe to move forward here. We're going to go see us right through that little hole there. All you folks with cameras, though, feel free to just stop here and get some nice shots of this room.
Yep. Feel free to get some.
I don't know how they listen and talk at the same time. It works when we're, it doesn't work when we're at home though. Not at the same time. Stop and go first.
Okay, got it. I think I got part of Stephanie's on. That's okay.
Okay, just as long as you got part of it on.
That's a man-made tunnel where they got out of the way. I'll go show that. Mind you, though, make sure everybody gets a good close look up at these railings here. I know it's a big crowd, but don't be shy. Make sure everybody gets right up to the railing and take a look at both of these windows. Cave itself goes to the left about 220 more feet. It's quite a bit more. Eventually, you'll see the end of it. Again, don't be shy. Right points of interest. Always good in that one spot on the left here. It doesn't vary day after day, it doesn't vary for rain. Day after day, winter, summer, same rate every day. That's what Chinese water is. And then the water was right underneath this flat stone here in the left window as well. What you're seeing here is pretty unique to this cave too. I've had quite a few other caves, seen lots of nice formations, but nothing like this. Even though the cave's really small here, it's definitely pretty interesting. A lot of colors in here I haven't seen in other caves. Every black color. It took them 6 years to make this tunnel out here. They opened this window in 46 and they finished in 52 around the corner there. And they actually drilled a hole in this one column, if anybody notices the hole there. And it's lined right up to that drill hole. They're only about a foot away from the wall there, the air hammer. And so I'm not sure if that's the first time they busted into the cave. They didn't know quite where it was. It gets a little taller through here, but the first people that came in here still had to crawl through all those stalactites, right? Weave their way down through this with just a flashlight. I hope they were very careful. All right, actually, I'll let you take some more shots here. If everybody else has had a good look here, we're going to take the group around the. Probably was a shoot off the other cave, but it plugged itself off the calcite over here, so it was isolated over here. It didn't know 6 years ago it was right into it. And I see pictures of this up really close. It looks about 100 feet high in a photo. It was like a little movie set in there. It made a perfectly miniature world. One of my favorite parts of the tour. We're almost at the end here. What I need everybody to do though is, we're coming to a dead end, as you can see. So we're going to follow this railing down on this side, go around the end, and then come back along the wall. So everybody to this side, and just follow the railing up. And what we're going to see. When you look to the right, looking back to where we just were, same room right in the windows on the other side, and scoot down, you can see the ceiling in there. You can kind of scoot down on the railing and look in there. But then I'll briefly explain what else you're going to see up here. You're going to enter the dome up here. You're back in the cave, the light line's going to drip on you. Don't have to worry, you look up there, there's some really nice colors. The very last thing you're going to see is this passage to my left. It goes about 200 feet at the end of the cave. This is the dead end. We call this Dream River because you get a nice reflection if you look at the water. You can't see the ceiling, but look at the water, you can see all the formation. We call this the Eiffel Dome at the end up here. If you look up, you're going to get an eye full of water. Really bad show. There's some nice colors up there, so check the colors up in the dome there. A lot of people forget to look it up. That's the bottom part of this little cave. That's just a big color. So we don't go out 10 feet. You guys stay right here for me, because I'm going to show you the black light on this little cave right here. Up at the Everybody wait right here though. I want to shine my black light on the little cave. Somebody getting an eye full up there. Did you notice that reflection on the water I mentioned?
Yeah, that is really beautiful.
That's where some of those really long soda straws are. And actually there's some stuff you can't see, unfortunately, way in the back there.
It's just so neat that the water is so clear that you can see it.
Yeah, actually you can drink those drips coming out of the ceiling right here. This isn't really affected by the rain at all. There's a lot of shale above the cave here, so it's sort of a water-bearing layer of rock. So it's a little more like well water coming in right here. We're about 50 feet down. We're also out underneath the middle of that field, or on the other side of the road under the field right now, right?
Girls, come here.
Now I mentioned the cave flooded. This was all flooded all the way back to here, right over these retaining walls. Now we're talking thousands of gallons of water to flood this. In the meanwhile, I'm going to get my black light on here. So you can got the white light in this little cave here and makes that light up. Yeah, it is. It's just like glow in the dark. Glow in the dark paint. The Mineral Museum in Madison has a display that does this. There's several minerals glow different colors. I don't know if I would pick that up or not. I'm going to do it at the end out here too. Look, it makes your shoes blow up your life. Socks are looking good. You just had a poster years ago, right?
My shirt could go on.
Get a few more feet here, and then I won't have to cut you off. Actually, I'm gonna turn these lights off. There's still some lights on in there, so that you can keep shooting. Catch up with us at will. Here, I'm gonna show you on the wall here, one of you guys too. You can see the outside, this spot right here. So fix it right up. That's why I really like to touch the wall here, because there's all sorts of stuff growing.
Because you glow in the dark.
Even if Wait 1 second. This is when they have made tunnel, by the way. That's a shortcut here on the way down.
We just moved it to a different part of the cave, right over the other side of the flat, and then it disappears. So that is pretty much the only place in the cave that they think there could be more cave beyond that point, because the water goes somewhere.
Here, a little low pressure. Sucking air out of the cave. All right, well, thank you very much for coming to the cave today. Hope everybody had a good time. I'm going to turn the light on the magnet, so you can leave the way. Go right out the doors, leading to the gift shop. Everybody have a good afternoon. Back into the rain crowd there. You're very welcome. Anything else, right? Got some nice shots there. This is really a place to be here. Hot weather we had over here. All right. Yeah, I'm interested to see if it starts filling up in the back.